When you're stepping on stones to cross a really big river, often you can't see the next step till it comes. That's the process by which Andy Lipkus has helped transform Los Angeles from a poster child of environmental degradation to a beacon of environmental restoration. About 20 years after founding the iconic group Tree People in his hometown of LA, Andy decided to evaluate the organization's work. Tree People was already somewhat of an urban legend. It was credited with virtually inventing the citizen forestry movement, a term that Andy coined. Tens of thousands of passionate volunteers had planted millions of trees all over the city and surrounding county and mountains, coordinating with numerous government agencies. Andy was helping lead the effort to bring millions of dollars to community groups in the aftermath of 1992's riots after the Rodney King incident. Tree People was educating large numbers of young people on environmental issues, and it all looked mightily impressive. So it came as a shock to everyone when Andy's evaluation of 20 years' worth of work was that it was not working. The environment was only getting worse, and he wondered if he was just decorating neighborhoods or putting potted palms on the deck of the Titanic. Where was the next stepping stone across the river? Cities were built before people understood ecology. Andy went back in time and he overlaid a map of the original ecology of Los Angeles with the city's current reality. He looked at the prior ecosystem he'd been trying to restore too and saw that it reflected in it the underlying watershed that defines it and gives it life. Like the city's decimated natural environment, the watershed had been paved over, channelized, polluted, and generally abused. The fractured ecology mirrored a fragmented city bureaucracy. The Department of Water spent $1 billion a year to buy and import water. The flood control district threw away $500 million of water every year, rainfall, at a cost of $500 million a year. The Department of Sanitation couldn't control the inevitable pollution flowing into everything and was trashing the 40% of so-called waste that was valuable green matter for composting. Andy set about a patient process of bringing together all the key stakeholders in a series of design charrettes, which led to a series of ever larger demonstration projects that showed the marriage of ecology and economy can be a very happy one. By using integrated resource management, he demonstrated how to avoid huge amounts of waste, save money, and dramatically improve the quality of life and the environment. It's called solving for pattern. One solution solves multiple problems all at once. In partnership with numerous agencies and groups, Tree People's visionary TREES project, TREES, Trans-Agency Resources for Environmental and Economic Sustainability, began developing a retrofit of the entire Los Angeles landscape to manage the city as a living ecosystem. This may be the most exciting large-scale attempt ever to green a large urban area. It includes the potential for tens of thousands of water restoration jobs, which Andy calls blue-green collar jobs. A major reason for the success is Andy's supreme skill as a citizen diplomat. As he likes to say, when people hold hands, it produces lovely solutions. Along the way, Andy and Tree People created a curriculum called Schoolyard Explorers that turns kids into watershed managers. As he points out, kids can lead. In fact, they did lead LA's massive recycling program through Tree People's recycling education. LA's program is now the country's biggest, with almost 800,000 homes involved. And kids who volunteered as citizen foresters 30 years ago became the voters who helped pass a massive water quality bond by a 2/3 vote at the same time that a police and fire bond was roundly voted down. The process Andy catalyzed almost 40 years ago has led to a far greater understanding of how to manage cities as part of an ecosystem. Climate change is already up close and personal in LA. Disaster preparedness is imperative, including the need for the large-scale volunteer mobilization networks that Tree People has become so expert at organizing. That, he says, is why LA is living up to its promise as a green lighthouse for other cities and countries from Portland and Seattle to London and Beijing in China. He now consults worldwide. Andy's receiving richly deserved recognition. He and his wife, Kate, and colleague were named to the UN Environment Programme's Global 500 Roll of Honor. He's featured in the PBS multi-part documentary Eden's Lost and Found, and in the excellent films The 11th Hour by Leonardo DiCaprio and Dirt, the movie. Andy was recently inducted as an Ashoka Fellow as a social entrepreneur in recognition of his track record of finding and scaling up solutions to society's most pressing problems. So please join me in a rousing welcome for that urban legend himself who knows the next step when it comes. Thanks.
Hi. Wow. I feel like jumping off the stage. No, we won't. Audience, sir. Thank you, Kenny. Thank you, Bioneers. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Welcome, Bioneers from the cities that are watching from around the country. Thank you all for creating this incredible community of support. Thank you for bringing your passion, your fear, your lessons, your enthusiasm. This is what we need as we launch from here. I also want to give a shout out to all the volunteers, the government agencies, the other nonprofit partners who've worked with us. I get too much credit. It's a really big family of partnership that makes this work now. And I think you all know that. It's been an incredible pleasure to serve, to learn. So I am so excited to do this, as he said, the cleanup or wrap up. I'm not a sports guy, but we've heard the message throughout the conference that it's time. It's overtime that we engage. I am even more excited by the amount of youth that are here, that are speaking. As someone who started this work at age 15, and I haven't stopped, I'll tell you, it is like the relief pitchers have arrived. Hearing the enthusiasm, the energy that they were giving us on the stage yesterday. But not just the energy, the depth of humility to go, you know, we don't know it all yet. We got to keep learning. We're here to let you stand shoulder to shoulder with us or stand on our shoulders so we don't have to lose the time of relearning the lessons. So thank you, young people all over the country and here for joining the ranks, rolling up your sleeves, and not taking no for an answer. So, you've all heard the story about the frog in hot water, right? But I'll repeat it just in case. If you take a frog, the story is if you take a frog and drop it in boiling water, it can jump out and save itself. And it goes on that if you actually put a frog in cold water and turn on the flame and slowly heat the water, it'll happily swim around until it boils. That's a great example of denial, something that humans were all afflicted with. So we've got the stories on climate change. We've got the call. The question is, why are we content to sit and boil ourselves to death? Are we content? Maybe not. So my purpose today is to take us through some of the things that are in our way, that keep us from engaging. Because I know we don't want to boil. And by the way, I know that so many of you are incredibly engaged, but our job is from here to be a fountain or a volcano of enthusiasm, of invitation to get literally billions of people involved. So what's in the way is mythology. And I want to hit a couple myths that trip us up unless we confront them. So the biggest one of all that's keeping our politicians and everybody else from taking action. And by the way, I mean, the more you hear from Jim Hansen in other areas, I feel scared. I feel angry. But I also feel so hopeful. But there's certainly a myth that we won't change, that Americans won't change, that people won't change. We also, though, have other sub-ones, like we believe that individual actions won't make a difference, that somebody else, government or mom or someone, is going to fix it for us. We think we've got to wait for leaders or government to take action and lead. The belief that we're, or I'm not ready. I'm not prepared, strong enough, big enough, smart enough, pure enough, important enough. I'm certainly not powerful enough or legitimate enough to begin the work. I'm not my brother's keeper. I'm no saint. I don't want to be called a girly man, especially by our governor. We don't want to be called do-gooders. And you know, it's actually pretty tough to be called a tree hugger, even though I am. And finally, Ram Dass hit a good one. What calls us to action is our heart. We feel the pain. That heart opening is something that's the same when we open to compassion. It's like falling in love, and there's a fear of falling into compassion. So we need to blow those away. There's one other assumption that this community of environmentalists holds, which really trips us up. Being in the Netherlands with Kenny and Nina at Bioneers Global a couple months ago, I heard this myth, and it shook me. Nina said the one that we all say. The one species the Earth can do happily without is us. What if that wasn't true? What if, instead of the fact that we're just here to consume and destroy, what if the Earth has adapted us to be its healer? What if it provides us with the energy, the passion, the compassion, the creativity, the brilliance, the ability to hook up? What if? So, I need water. I have four stories to tell you to try to take us out of the mythology, bust it, and move into action. First, that we're not big enough. We can't act fast enough. This is King Boulevard in Los Angeles, Martin Luther King Boulevard, back 20 years ago. It was meant to be a huge monument to Dr. King and his dream. It ran right through South Los Angeles, South Central Los Angeles. Not a pretty place, not such a great honor. One of our volunteers, Eudora Russell, retired school teacher, wanted to green a piece of that community. So she got trained in how to bring her neighbors together, how to raise some money, how to work with government to get permits. She planted 20 trees, kept them alive, involved the gang kids who got to smash the concrete, express their power, express their anger, and transform it. Those trees lived. And then she really dreamed. She looked at the boulevard and she said, this should be a green monument to the hope. She went to the city of Los Angeles and said, can we turn this 7 miles into something beautiful? And they said, yeah, it would be great. It'll take 10 years, at least $10 million, and we don't have any money. But let's see what we can do. She came back to me and said, they said 10 years. We can't wait. I said, no, you can't. Let's do it in a day. So we did. It actually took a couple months to recruit 1,000 people and train them, and 3,000 more people, and bring them together on King's birthday, 2 days after this picture was taken. No, actually, I want to bring you back. Wait. See that sign? It's a little dark. So this is 2 years ago. 7 miles, 3,000 people, 4 hours. The cool thing about this is the trees are alive, and that's a miracle because the average lifespan of an urban tree in America right now is 7 years. Because people kill them, the environment kills them. These are alive because we came back every month for the last 10 years and brought the community out to water them, weed them, protect them, and keep them alive. To make the difference, to make that myth go away means digging in, sticking with it, solving the problems that come up. And believe me, there's plenty of problems. Story 2, we don't have any power. Kids don't have any power. Maybe they'll help in the next generation, and that's encouraging. Los Angeles needed to start recycling. It had filled all its landfills, filled all its canyons with trash, filled its Coliseum every 2 weeks with all the trash that we made. That's how much we were making. We ran out of space. The city couldn't build incinerators, so it decided it had to try recycling. It knew that it wouldn't work. It was making plans to build a trash train to the desert. Kid you not, they're still on the books. It knew it wouldn't work because people wouldn't recycle. Conventional wisdom on all civil engineers, public works managers and policy people is people won't change. People will not recycle, they will not change their lives. Most of the programs that had tried recycling in the country were only getting 10% public participation. But the city said, well, we'll do it, we'll show we tried, and then we'll go build the train. We said, Tree People educates kids and empowers them, we tell them that they're managers of the urban ecosystem. Teach them about trees, but trees recycle, so they could easily learn the lesson about recycling. We offered to expand our program to reach a critical mass of the youth population in Los Angeles. There were 600,000 kids in LA schools at the time. The city said, go for it. We created we expanded our environmental education program to reach 250,000 kids in 2 years. So we reached critical mass. Those kids reached the 600,000. They translated our message that we delivered in Spanish and English and 4 other languages, Chinese, Tagalog, Mandarin. They translated it to the 80 languages spoken throughout LA Unified Schools that no public official could do. They then took it home, dumped trash on the floor, and taught their families how to recycle. We got complaints. Parents called teachers called the city saying, the kids are making us recycle, make them stop. City called us and said, they're complaining, keep it up. The program rolled out 2 years later. The proof was in the pudding. 90% of the people in Los Angeles picked up and started recycling. It was the kids who did it. In 1978, Los Angeles had a 100-year storm. The city was not ready for it. Houses started sliding, houses started getting buried, creeks showed up where they had been years before, but we had built and developed around them. People called the fire department for help and were told, sorry, we can't get there. We can't help you. We fight fires. We have to protect public buildings. Our tree planting volunteers helped mobilize a neighborhood to save some homes that were about to be inundated. A city councilman, Zev Yaroslavsky, saw it, called us and said, the flood's getting worse, can you do this citywide? So we said, sure. We put out a call to the community, to the public, saying help. And what showed up was four-wheel drive clubs, off-road vehicles, by the hundreds. Ham radio operators by the hundreds. Back to the off-roaders, most of them at the time were really pissed off about environmentalists. They had "Kill a Sierra Clubber" on their bumper stickers. So two parties, the off-roaders, ham radio operators, and thousands of young people, environmentalists, all came together. We formed an army. The city established a hotline from the Emergency Command Center to our office. We were able to dispatch 3,000 volunteers to save 1,200 homes over 10 days. And we had another 100-year flood 2 years later. We had to do it again. Since then, we built a partnership with the city. The city's taken on more disaster relief, and hopefully we're ready for the next. But this is the kind of thing our communities are facing with climate change and severe weather. So, changing it up now. The other thing that's in our way is we've forgotten what nature does. We've forgotten its power, its willingness to partner with us, and its ability to partner with us. So my next slide broke, so we're actually going to do this in the room. I want to invite an oak tree in to join us. And I want you to picture, imagine that it's back in the middle row where the cameras are, a large oak tree, 100 feet in diameter, the canopy. It runs actually from the aisle here all the way to the aisle over there, 100 feet. It's covering all of us. I might have a portrait. Yes, that one has a canopy of 100 feet in diameter. We love trees. We know they do cool things, but some of the things we've forgotten over time. What's under the tree, what falls out of the tree is leaves, twigs. Those things fall on the ground and they start to break down. They make mulch. Then they make humus. I almost said hummus. They do that too. And then they make highly mineralized soil. They make habitat for critters, snakes, rodents that dig and drill, bugs that chew, microscopic organisms and fungi all work together as an amazing community. They're living in this space under the tree. If you can look around the room and imagine that we're all here right now with an old oak that's protecting us and shading us. This space, from here almost to the back to the two sides, if that space I was talking about with all that soil, 5 feet deep, forms what's a tank and a treatment plant. That tank has the capacity to capture and treat 57,000 gallons of water in a 12-inch flash flood. It's huge. The water is cleaned and sent to the aquifer, recharging our water supplies. That's always been nature's water treatment plant for the planet. Take the tree out, and what do you get? A flood. We send from one tree, one huge tree, 57,000 gallons of water downstream, taking with it the soil, taking with it the nutrients, taking with it pollution, hemorrhaging water we also badly need, especially if we live in the West, creating a huge, huge problem. That hemorrhage of cash, hemorrhage of water, hemorrhage of jobs. So how do we fix it? We invite the trees to partner with us and start biomimicking what a tree used to do, what trees need to do, and are still trying to do when they're busting up the concrete so they can get the water to the roots. What we've done is take biomimicry to the system level to take one tree and multiple trees and create the urban forest. I want to show you now a project we just finished. It'll be video. Stand by, you guys. That I think provides a lot of hope. And as we roll, know that when I'm saying we, it's the whole community of partners. In the Sun Valley watershed at the corner of Elmer Avenue and Stagg Street, because This is a community that solved a massive flooding problem, pollution problem, and drought problem, the kinds of things all communities are facing with climate change, from working together in a really unusual way, where neighbors got together with nonprofits and government agencies and planned together a solution that saved money, created jobs, and created sustainability. This was the epicenter of a regional flooding situation. Water flowed from 40 acres north of us and came through down here, making it really hazardous for this neighborhood. Sometimes water so deep that people couldn't safely get in and out of their homes to the street. The water was polluted by oils and toxins that it had picked up throughout the neighborhood. And then it would flow on down, polluting the LA River and on down to the beaches.
When it rains, the whole street was flooded.
And it was pretty much a dangerous situation with the children trying to cross over the water and just trying to get to school from here.
The solution we deployed included two major strategies. One was to pick up the floodwater that was flowing from over here, put it into a catch basin right here, and take it underground to the street that was ripped up, and we installed a huge infiltration gallery. That's two large pipes loaded with holes. The water flows through, the water comes out the pipe into gravel and then down into the aquifer, the region's water table. The result is a healthier street, and this process significantly saves money in the long run because it makes the street part of the whole city's water system. The second strategy was to address all the homes on the street, to capture all the water that they were contributing to the flood and capture it, clean it, sink it back in the ground. Before retrofitting houses, when rain comes down, it is directed into the driveway, which causes flooding. That water picks up waste and adds to the contaminants in the neighborhood streets, which then pollutes our rivers, beaches, and ocean. With the retrofitting of homes, now when the rain falls, the water is carried by the roof rain gutters and then redirected into a cistern or rain barrel. And if that water overflows, it soaks into a sponge-like, water-efficient rain garden that replaces grass lawns. If there is overflow from the garden, the water moves into permeable driveways, walks, and other surfaces. Or the water is captured by a driveway trench drain, which conveys it to a swale. A swale is a creek-shaped structure consisting of rocks, mulch, climate-appropriate plants that all work together. The swale collects and cleans any overflow from the paved surfaces. And trees are planted around the swale along with the plants and mulch. And the tree does what trees do everywhere. It's the big sponge to put the water underground. Once a swale is filled to its capacity, the water flows out onto the street, and it comes in to this curb cut and on into the swale, where it encounters the rocks, the mulch, the roots, and the plants, where it's slowed, it's filtered, and slowly infiltrated into the groundwater. Anything that overflows comes on out this curb cut back into the street and flows down to the next curb cut, where it joins other rainwater that has fallen onto the street and flows into and is absorbed by the swales further down the block.
It's been kind of an ecological change as well. We see a lot of different birds here now.
All these components work together as a whole system that mimics a natural watershed. To accomplish this, we built a partnership with nature that included the unique cooperation of nonprofit organizations and a variety of government agencies who, in this case, are concerned with water conservation. And all of them work together with the people on the street.
Tree people, they came and talked to us, and we had a day where everybody helped pitch in and do the tree planting, and we all worked together.
The project in general took about 5 years, but it's really brought back a sense of community here to Elmer Avenue.
People won't change. We invited people to volunteer to make their home available. 55% of the people on the street said, use our house. We were able to change their entire landscape, everything from their front door to the street. After we got started, the rest of the people on the street, once they actually understood how beautiful it was, they wanted to do it as well. These are nerdy points, but I underscore them because they're all tools that you can use, whether you're doing watershed or some other work. When we scale, we handle huge problems. Upstream, if the same amount of houses, about half, did what we did on this one street, it would have completely mitigated the whole flood that was coming into that neighborhood. It would have created that many more green jobs. Eddie, the last guy you saw in the video, when we were shooting this, came up to me and said, I don't know if you know what impact this has had on our street. First of all, when our neighbors got together and did the planting, when they started planting the trees, it changed everything. We thought we were together before that. Something gelled. So, partnership with nature. But then he said, you know, we think we can do this and save the whole area. And for all our lives, we've thought that we should accept less. It's a 75% Spanish-speaking community. It is the first declared environmental justice zone in Los Angeles. These people have gotten their power, and they want to take it to the community. In the 40 years that I've been doing this work, I've noticed, and I've come to believe, that nature has in fact adapted us to be its healers. And it's raised us from being infants that were helpless to being brilliant, powerful beings, compassionate beings. We now find ourselves, kids and all of us, in the sandwich generation. We got to take care of the mom, Earth, because she has given us everything to raise us to this point. Not so we can kill ourselves. And we got the next generations, 7, 10, 20 to come, if there will be those. It's in our hands, totally in our hands. As Jess said yesterday, will we rise to the occasion? I hope so. What really gives me hope is this thing I've observed, and that is, I believe that every single one of us, and I've witnessed this in the disaster relief, with gang kids, with little kids, with older people, everybody has a scanner on board that's operating in our body that nature must have installed. It's our heart. And it's asking the question, where am I needed? How can I help? And when something hits your frequency, my frequency, it converts to adrenaline, biochemical response. It might be a drip. It might be a shot. When we're given a shot of adrenaline, like when we see a car accident, it gives us the power to get out of our own car and go, if we had to, help lift a car off of the injured person. It looks like a miracle, but it's nature's gift to us. When the ecosystem is hurting, we get the drip. We're hardwired for this. We've lost the language for it. Part of our job as Bioneers, we have been biomimicked. Our job is to help translate and create the language, because our country, our world is getting the drip. And that energy that we're given, when it's not used, like all energy that's not recycled, it becomes pollution. And that pollution is really uncomfortable. You know, we feel ill at ease. That's the job of the adrenaline. How long can we stay ill at ease before it becomes disease? Frustration, anger, depression. Look at the budgets in our country working so hard to take this pollution and do what we do with pollution in the world, send it to a place called away. Look at how much of our disposable income we try to take that adrenaline drip, that call to engage, and throw it away. We pay for distractions, we pay for drugs, anything to avoid experiencing that call to engage. The good news is it's not saintly work. It's not selfless work. The most selfish thing you could do is confront that fear and engage and learn, because you will be fed. People ask me, how could I keep doing this for 40 years without stopping? I am fed by engaging with nature and with people, with the feedback, the challenges, the creative challenges. It's all available to all of us. The love that's there can sustain us. It's what really feeds us. So, as we close out this session, I want to invite you to just begin consciously asking the question, where am I needed? How can I help? Your heart will answer. You are big enough. We can do this. And we look at these speakers and we think, yeah, they're the ones. I tell you, I keep failing. I keep being really scared. That failure is compost for success. And this notion of some people are more important than others, it isn't true. We are part of the ecosystem. So take the largest living thing on the planet, a giant sequoia. It's pretty important. One of the smallest things in the world, microscopic fungus, that hangs around the roots of that tree. The fungus has to hand each molecule to the root of the tree. Without the fungus, the tree can't drink, it can't live, it doesn't exist. Who's more important? No one. We're all ready. Ask the question, where am I needed? How can I help? Thank you so much.